My name is Corey Lucas, and I'm the president and founder of Mentally Charged. I'm a Scarborough boy, grew up here, born and raised, always wanted to play in the NHL. It was my dream. It didn't come through because of what was between my ears. I was not the best at dealing with adversity and dealing with the highs and lows of the game. I was fortunate enough to win a junior championship with Rexford Raiders. I got a Division I scholarship to the States at Canisius College. Went there for 4 years, and then after Canisius, I went and played pro hockey for 4 years, where my game was all over the map. One game I'd be lights out and score 4 goals, and then the next time I'd be in the stands as a healthy scratch, and stomach in knots and not feeling good. After my pro career, I became a school teacher. I've taught for 13 years, and the same things that I experienced as a player I now saw in the classroom. I was also coaching AAA hockey for 10 years, and seeing the same thing with boys and girls falling apart on the bench, in the classroom. Something has to be done, stop the madness. So I want to make this an interactive, fun workshop. I've seen a few of them. I'm just gonna say they need to be a little more exciting. So hopefully this doesn't drag on for you. It'll be about 40 minutes, and then afterwards we can do a little Q&A if you're up for it. Before I start though, I wanna ask adults and players, if you were to rank importance from 0 to 100. Are they going to do that a lot? 0 to 100, what % of the game is in your head? Shout out your answers. I heard 80, 90. Did you read my brochure? Did you cheat? Did you cheat back there? No? Anybody else? Any other guesses? Okay, so the old adage is that 90% of the game is in your head. Now let me ask you another question by a show of hands. This will be for the athletes. Raise your hand if you're going to do some sort of dry land training this summer. Put your hand up. Excellent. Keep your hands up, okay? Now you let me know if you're going to eat well, sleep well, and hydrate well. Keep your hands up. You're not? OMG. She's like, whatever. I'm out. Keep them up if you're going to hydrate, sleep well, and eat well. Thank you. Now, of those that have their hands up, how many of you have a mental training program? 1.5. Parents, look around the room. 1.5. Does this make sense to you? You just told me that 90% of the game is in your head, yet we are doing nothing to train the biggest part of our game. So how does that make sense? This is the part where we stare at each other awkwardly, like, I don't know, you know, I don't know. No answers, do we? Why do we do what we do? We default to things that we're comfortable with. Now, I was fortunate enough too to speak in Calgary at the Gatorade Hockey Summit. I got flown in. I was on stage with James Sabalski from Sportsnet, really cool dude. Sidney Crosby's trainer, a sport dietitian from the University of Guelph, and the three of us gave a 360-degree viewpoint on how best to prepare athletes on and off the ice. And there wasn't much going on in terms of teaching the mental aspect of the game, which is shocking. So that's what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about what could possibly go wrong and how to fix it. So again, this inspired me. All of my experience teaching, coaching, and what I went through myself inspired me to create a platform like this. We started it in 2013, and we've gotten a lot of great response, to be honest with you. Close to 100,000 followers on social media across all of our handles, which is amazing. People like what we're doing. So Mentally Charged is an online program that's designed to build your mental toughness. And what we do as hockey players, as parents, as organizations and teachers is we default to things that we're comfortable to. We are comfortable with weight training, strength and conditioning. Why? Because there's a number that's attached to it. We can measure how much liquid we put into your system, how you hydrate, how you eat, your nutritional facts. We can measure those sort of things. Does anyone know how to measure a kid's anxiety level? How about your confidence level? So as soon as we feel these things and say these things, we go, let's go to the gym. And we start working out. That makes us feel good because we can tangibly see muscles. We feel better cardiovascular-wise, but it's missing. Or the worst thing that we do in the hockey community is default to what so-and-so is doing next to us. Hey, what are you doing this summer? Oh, I'm going to see so-and-so with this. I want to do it. How much? When? Can we carpool? Feeding frenzy. Everyone's doing the same thing. Woo! We're on track. You're not on track because you're missing the biggest part of the game. You're doing a great job. I don't mean to pick on you. Right? You're missing the biggest part of the game between your brain. So what's the problem? The problem is we just don't train the mind. We're not used to it. And today's athletes, unfortunately, you're not really equipped to deal with slumps, injury, pressure, self-doubt, lack of confidence. I get hundreds of messages through Instagram. It's crazy. I just had a terrible game. My dad didn't talk to me in the car ride home. Coach ripped my face off. I'm feeling bad about myself, doubting my ability. What do I do? Okay? That's the problem. What else are we seeing? We're seeing troubles delaying instant gratification. Kids, if you don't know what that is, I'll explain that later. Lack of focus. You see this in the classroom all the time. Kids are talking. I'm doing my lesson up front, trying to be all animated and stuff. And kids start like, hello? Oh, sorry. And then they come back. Same thing in the corner when you're in practice. Hit your friend, all of a sudden you're up and you're like, uh-oh. And you totally forget what you're doing. The lack of focus. You're not in the zone. No resiliency, decrease in confidence. We fret, we worry, we have anxiety. So we're going to talk about all that today. Typical season. What could go wrong and some solutions. Well, here we go. We're in the off season, and this time of the year we're setting goals and we're trying to get prepared for next September, but we set unrealistic goals. How many of you like to wake up and watch TSN, Sportsnet? Yeah, I do too. No hands. Nobody? Okay. He's like, I do. Yeah. I do too. But the problem with that is we wake up and we see these images and we're bombarded with people on TV who are superstars like Malkin doing the backhand, Bardowski, woo! And you players, you look at that and you say to yourself, I can do that. Subconsciously, you say those things to yourself and you actually think that you can pull them off. And then when we set unrealistic expectations and set unrealistic goals, we try to take on that, try to get 30 goals, power play, penalty kill, starting goaltender, and it doesn't happen. What happens to you? Mentally, you fall apart. You get down on yourself, and that spirals. It's not good. So, what would I tell my younger self? I would say come up with my own goals that are achievable, not mommy and daddy's goals, no offense, parents, but your goals. I don't want to wake up and live my 80-year-old mother's goals. You got to wake up and say, what do you want in your hockey career? What do you want to be happy on and off the ice? You can work with your parents, they've got a ton of experience, but it has to mean something to you, and all the others. It can't be somebody else's goals. It's got to be specific and measurable and realistic, and there's got to be a timeline on it. You should build out long ones and short ones and then readjust if they're too easy, if they're too hard, tweak again. But really focus on coming up what means something to you. And that's all a mindset shift. Speaking of mindset, beginning of the year, we tend to be selfish. Now, I know what all the athletes in here are thinking, oh, not me, I would never. I'm not selfish, are you kidding me? Newsflash, we're all selfish. We all train in the off season. We all work hard, and I know this is a negative connotation to it, but we all want to do well for us. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. We want to succeed, we want to be positive, that's good. But we want to be on the power play when it counts. We want to be the ones that take the face off the last 5 minutes. We want to be on the ice the last 5 minutes. Penalty kill, we want the goals. Me, my, I. And I've seen it before as a coach where we're in the game and everyone's standing up and we're trying to come back and we got one person who's doing that. And that is a mindset shift. That has to happen. Somebody's sulking. And yes, it's cliche, but you have to play for the crest on the front and not the name on the back. So you have to consciously say to yourself, it's not about me right now, it's about my team. Because if you're choosing me, my, and I, you'll end up sitting on the bench like that, or pouting, or sulking. And coaches see that. And when the scouts come knocking on the doors and say, hey, what's your name? Kate. What's Kate like? I mean, coaches, I've said it myself, I hate to say this, but just not a team player. All the skill in the world, but makes the wrong decisions mentally when it counts. And the scout goes, thank you, and you don't hear from them again. Happens all the time. So don't be that person. Play for that crest in the front. So we also get nervous. That tends to be another thing we deal with is nerves. Again, hundreds of messages on social media. I got a big opportunity, a big tryout, a big game coming up, and I'm so nervous. My palms are sweating, my heart's racing. How do I get rid of it, Coach Corey? So, what would I tell my younger self? I would say that being nervous and excited are the same sensation. Now, we can't control what our body's going to do in those situations. Big game, big opportunity, big tournament. Your body's going to kick into fight or flight. It's going to do what it naturally does. You can't change that. Your heart's going to pound, your palms are going to sweat, the pores in your skin will open, your eyes will dilate. All that happens naturally. What you can change is a thing called valence. Now, valence is how you view what your body's going through. Anybody done public speaking like I am right now? Yeah, just one person? We got to get more active. You two, get your hand up. Are you awake there? I got a pointer, I'll point at you. What happens when you're up there in front of everybody? Your heart starts pounding. I did the same thing 20 minutes ago. My biggest fear is speaking in public. Would you ever know that? I was over there doing this 10 minutes ago. Oh God, oh God, you got this, you can do this. Palms sweating, heart racing, right? Waiting for this guy to finish so that I could start. It's natural. What I can control, and you can too, is how you view it, like I mentioned. This is a positive, the palms sweating and your heart racing. It is your body's way of preparing you to play at your best. Is that not what you want? Yes. This is the part where you shake your head, yes. This is a good thing. So when you speak publicly, when you are about to perform out in the ice, and you start to feel those feelings, please don't push them away. Embrace them. Okay? Be aware of them. They are good. They are there. They're saying, hey, wake up. You're about to have a good game. Let's go. So that you're not groggy or sleepy out there. You're prepared. That's what we need. They're the same thing. All that changes is how you view it. Who has control of that? You. Fear. Oh, man. So what's the problem? The problem is that our brains think that it's being threatened. Now, let me explain this. Back in the day, cave people used to step out of their cave, and what would they worry about? They worry about getting eaten by a lion, right? So they'd have this fight or flight or freeze response where they step out of the cave and there'd be a lion ready to eat them, and they'd stand in there and try to fight that lion, or they would run, or they would go and freeze. And over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, this fight or flight mechanism has been woven into our DNA, passed from generation to generation to generation, over and over and over again. It's in all of us as humans, fight, flight, or freeze. And it always thinks that we're being threatened, which is pretty interesting when you think about it. Even when you're relaxed, there's still a part of your brain that's still firing saying, what if? So that you need to kick into action and fight, flight, or flee, or freeze. What would I tell my younger self? I would say, hey, understand how the brain works. Now, there's a part of the brain called the amygdala, and without getting too technical, I call it as the bodyguard of the brain. So what it does is it prepares you to be at your best when you need it to happen. Like when you're texting and you're about to cross the street and you're focused on one thing, if you hear a car, that sensory input comes into your ear, your amygdala, which is the bodyguard, it will tell you to step back onto the curb so you don't get hit by a car. Can we all do this with our hand? Perfect. If you grab this part, your wrist, this is like your brain stem, the back of your head, right? Your thumb is your amygdala, your emotional part of your brain. And your fingers that wraps around it is the prefrontal cortex. That's a thinking part of your brain. So if you were to slice your brain right down in half, that's what you'd see. Brain stem, emotional part of your brain, and then the thinking part of your brain. When you panic and you go into fight or flight, the thinking part of your brain goes bye-bye. It's time to act on emotions, fight, flight, or freeze. That's adorable. Fight, flight, or freeze. So your body kicks into that and it tries to help you. Now, you don't want to think in those sort of situations because you want your body to react. What you need to do is learn how to calm down that amygdala, calm down that bodyguard. And we can do that by taking breaths. We can do that by talking to people, taking a break, and relaxing. Okay? We need that just to tone down. We need that thinking part of the brain to come back over the emotional part, and so that you can make sense of things, compute, have some clarity. So when you're a defenseman out on the ice, and you're stressed about how you're going to perform, and you come around the net and you're going to make an outlet pass, if your amygdala and your emotional part of the brain is viewing your game as stressful, you're not going to make the right decision at the right time. And then you're going to get back to the bench and beat yourself up. So if we understand this, If we see the triggers and we know how our brain works, just like we would figure out how our muscles work, we could start to view it as a positive and learn quickly how to calm down that brain when we're stressed. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, you know who that guy is there? That's me. Do you know who the coach is? Any of you parents know him? Dads? Moms? Nobody? That's okay, I won't hold it to you. It's back in the day. It's Barry Melrose. Anybody remember that name? Barry Melrose? For you young kids, that would be like you walking into the Toronto Maple Leafs dressing room right now and seeing Babcock. You'd be like, ah! Well, that's what I did when I saw Barry, because he was coaching Wayne Gretzky. He brought the 93 Kings to the Stanley Cup, and I got traded to his team and walked in and thought, oh, that's Barry Melrose. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Mind games, head going, stressed right out. I was traded, injured, second team that year, new squad, I didn't know anybody. That's a terrible feeling too. New coach, and it's Barry Melrose. He's in the NHL. So if I could go back and tell myself, hey Corey, back when you're playing pro and you were stressed because you saw Barry, just focus on your tools. Again, I get this online, big tryout, big tournament, big game. I'm going to try to do this, 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 and this. I'm like, whoa, do you play that way? What are your strengths? Stick to your tools. If you're a fast skater, then skate fast. If you're big and you're physical, then play physical. Do what works for you. Don't try to play above and beyond, because then that ties into the goal setting and how we don't hit them. And when we don't hit them, we don't feel good, and it's this trickle-down effect. Focus on what you do well. Understand? Good. Another problem. We expect immediate results, and this is directly for the kids. Some of you parents, I don't know. In our society, you children are brought up to get things right away. You take a test at school, and you get a mark. Play video games, you get a score. Post on Instagram, I got likes. Yeah. Snapchat, what? Yeah. Instant, instant, instant. iPhone 17 comes out, bang, mom buys it for you. What? Sick, check it out. Yeah, I know, I won't ever do that again. But we get stuff right away. Right away. And then when you don't score in like 2 games, my life is over. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I didn't score. I haven't like scored in like 2 games, coach. What am I gonna do? You're freaking out. Trust the process. Hockey is a marathon. Sports life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yes, we celebrate little things as we go, but it's a marathon, and trust that process. When you're working hard, you set goals, you plan properly, you got the right mindset, you're a good person, things are gonna work out for you. And learn to build your mental toughness. Now I get a little trifecta for my definition with mental toughness. One is emotions are good. I can't tell you how many times I pull a poll at school or in the rink and say, how many people think emotions are good? And there's no hands. Everybody thinks emotions are bad. And then they get down on themselves. I'm mad because I'm mad, and I'm upset because I'm upset. Emotions are good. They are in place in your brain to catapult you to fix something in your life. Okay, so again, choose to see it as a positive. If you're fired up for a reason. Secondly, failure is good. When you fail, you make mistakes, you grow, you move on. Mindset. All right, so trust that process, build your mental toughness. And delay instant gratification. We've got to be okay with long-term goals for a long period of time in order to be successful. Another problem, we doubt ourselves when things go wrong. Did you know that 80 to 90% of our thoughts are negatively charged? Our brains like spotlight negative and then suck it up like a vacuum and then play it over and over and over again and ruminate on things. We also have over 70,000 thoughts a day. So if we got 80% of them that are negative and we got 70,000 thoughts a day, that's a lot of work to be positive. So what would I tell my younger self? I'd say when things don't go well, trust your skill set, right? Trust yourself. Trust what you've trained your body to do. Here, catch this. Perfect. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. She caught the bottle. Wonderful. Did you have to think about catching that bottle, or did you just catch the bottle? You do think, you better put up your right hand before the bottle hits you in your face. No, you just lifted your hands and caught the bottle, right? Okay. I want to stop and explain things right now. There's a difference between conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Now, consciously, we all know that we're here and you're listening to me speak. Subconsciously are all the things that are going on beneath the hood that we're not aware of. Like the fact that I'm moving my hands like this. I don't know why. It's just happening. When I go to take a drink of water, I don't consciously go, you could do this, you got this, you put the tea up, yeah, woo. No, I just pick up the water bottle and put it to my mouth and drink it. I don't think, I react. And that's what this is all about, is trusting what you've trained your body to do. A lot of you started skating when you were this big. When you're on the ice, don't let your mind get in the way. Because if you consciously think about making a pass or shooting or hesitate, the play's already done. Your subconscious mind reacts half of a second faster than your conscious mind does. That's why baseball players are able to hit the ball. They have to start swinging halfway before the pitch even comes close to the plate. Subconscious mind is so important. So really trust your skills. Don't let your head get in the way. Trust what you've trained your body to do. You look really familiar. Have I seen you guys before? Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to point you out. Another problem we're seeing, we get stressed under pressure, and we're not aware of how much pressure we're under. Kids, tests, boyfriend, girlfriend issues, parents, SATs, big tournaments, big opportunities, social evaluation. Oh my gosh. Does anybody know what that is? Any parent, can we tell our kids what social evaluation means? Anybody? It's when you're worried of being evaluated socially. So what is the person beside you going to think? How old are you girls, if you don't mind me asking? 14 and 15? You are at the pinnacle of you caring about what others think at 15 years of age. At 15, you're the most self-conscious. You care about what everyone else thinks the most at that age. The part of your brain that's being able to see future consequences is really underdeveloped. The point that wants to take risks is overdeveloped. Your brain is just constantly growing, and this thing's not in sync right now. And we're really under pressure, under stress. You need to take time to unplug. Anyone heard the word mindfulness? Mindfulness is huge. And in hockey, it's really, really important too. You need to be in the present moment when you play. Because if you make a mistake and you come back to the bench, what do you say to yourself over in your head? I'm an idiot. How could I do that? How did I miss that? And then you're worried about what the person beside you is saying. And then the coach is down your back. And then you got dad or mom's going in the stands. I saw you look right at him. Does he do that face? He does that face. Awesome. So you're sitting there beating yourself up. And then when it's about your turn to go out again, you start worrying about making the same mistake. Don't do that again. Can't do that again. I can't look like it. How did I miss that? And you start worrying about future what ifs. So then you're in the past and you're in the future and you're not mindful. You're not in the moment. The way we build that and get more focused and become calm is mindfulness. Take 5 to 10 minutes a day and go to your room, listen to pleasant music, and just focus on your breath. That's it. Not your boyfriend, not your test, not your scores, not how many likes to get on the last picture. Oh my gosh. Just put that all aside and just focus on the breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. That'll help calm your brain. Very, very important. Parents, you should be doing that too. Another problem we see throughout a hockey season is we focus on external distractions. So we're warming up and we look down and we see the next team stretching and they're like, oh gosh, she's so good. She's going to crush us. Look how tall she is. Oh my gosh. And you're like, You do this stupid leg kick thing. I don't know if that works anymore. I've seen it before. It's awful. But you start fretting about them. And then all of a sudden the referee shows up in his bag. You're like, oh, not her. She's terrible. You start freaking out about her. And then the other team. And then you're worried about everything else. Oh, there's a scout in the stands. Uh-oh, someone has a clipboard. And we start fretting about that. We're worried about all of these things that are out of our control. What would I tell my younger self? Again, where you focus your energy, your attention goes. Let that sink in for a sec. Where you focus your energy, your attention goes. Let's do a ridiculous activity to pound that into your head. I want everybody to tap their right hand, top head. There we go. While you rub that belly with your left hand. Visualize your front door. So think at home, what color is that? Is it blue, brown, glass? And then whisper your postal code as you're doing all of this, please. Just whisper, yes. I'm just kidding. You all look ridiculous. You can put your hands down. Wonderful. Children, were you worried about tests while you were doing that activity? Parents, mortgage, thinking about that at all? No, I didn't think so. Where you focus your energy, your attention goes. So if you freak out about her down the rink, or him reffing, or her scout in the stands, where do you think your energy is going to go? To all of these external things that you can't control. Be in the moment, focus on you. Another problem we see is that we're hardwired to be negative. I mentioned that earlier. 80% minimum negatively charged thoughts, 70,000 thoughts a day. Crazy. The good news is that we can hardwire happiness. We can hardwire happiness. We need to stay unhappy longer. When things work in our favor, when we celebrate successes, we need to stay in that moment and take it in. With all the negative, it's difficult, but you have to practice it. You have to resonate on good and practice it all the time. And we'll give you a few takeaways and tips when that comes. Speaking of which, we've talked a lot about problems. Here are 3 takeaways today. So your solution number 1, takeaway number 1, is block out your day. Build good habits. 21 days to build a habit, 90 days to change your lifestyle. Those are the statistics according to the really smart people out there. Okay? And block out your day. This time to this time, I'm going to do homework. That time to that time, I'm going to eat. This time to this time, I'm going to train. This time to this time, I'm going to, play video games. Get some sleep in there, repeat. Do it 90 days. Over and over and over again. And be consistent. You can't be like 3 days on, 2 off, 4 on, 1 off. Oops, haha, doesn't work every single time, okay? Takeaway number 2, practice positivity. Identify the things that are negative in your life, observe them, and let them be. Like we talked about earlier, external distractions. You can't control everything, so let it go. There's a really smart mindfulness guy named Andy Pettigum, and he's the founder of Headspace. And he has this analogy of sitting on the sideline of sitting on the side of the road. Okay, you've got a highway and there's cars zipping down back and forth, and every car is an emotion and they're floating down the road. And the tendency is to want to jump into the road, control them, and grab that emotion. So all of a sudden happiness floats down. Oh, I like that one. And you pick up happiness. And then other ones come down that are happy, and you want to control them, you want to pick them up. And then all of a sudden there's a car that comes down with anger or sadness, and you're like, no, I don't like that. And then you're left caught in the middle of the road like this. It's very uncomfortable. What we need to do is let it go. Let it be. The world is going to happen. Games are going to unfold as they unfold. You can't control that. So take a step back. Let go of that. So once you let it be and you let it go, that's when you can start bringing in some good and practicing hardwiring that happiness. Cue card strategy. So I write down affirmation thoughts. I tell my athletes to do that. Write down positive stuff on cue cards and put them everywhere in your house. You go and have some cereal in the morning, open it up, bam, oh, there's a card, wick. I'm good, I can do this, I can do that, I got this. Close the thing. Wherever you go in your home, put a cue card there. The more you read and say these positive statements to yourself, the more they fire, the easier it becomes to happen in your life. Neuron, they connect. Every time you think a thought, zoom. If you think them over and over again, that connection becomes stronger and stronger, like cement. That's why if you read and say it to yourself over and over again, the more likely it is to happen. It's called the expectancy effect. So get them all over your house. I tell the people, even in the bathroom, it's gross, but hey, put your affirmation thoughts up there. When you're taking your selfie, girls, don't take selfies in the bathroom, by the way. Don't do that. It's no good. But put them everywhere in the house, read them every time you can, and stay positive. And your third takeaway is visualize. And we touched on this earlier. This is the most important takeaway today. 10 minutes a day to think about what you want on and off the ice with your mind's eye. Now there's a basketball study. I know it's not hockey, but there's a basketball study about 3 groups. The first group was practicing their free throws. They went to the gym for 2 weeks in a row, taking shots straight up every day for 2 weeks. Group B, they went to the gym for 2 weeks again. Sorry, the first day they went and the last day they went. They didn't do anything in between. Group C sat on the couch and thought about free throws. Okay. For 2 weeks. Group A improved 24% of their free throws. Group B obviously didn't improve at all. And Group C improved 23%. 23. They didn't do anything. They laid on the couch and thought about shooting free throws. So it turns out that when you think something, your muscles fire as if they were actually performing the skill. So that's a huge takeaway for us. Take the time every day to not just go to the ice or go do dry land, but go to your room or a quiet place to think about the results that you want. See it in your mind. Sound good? Is that empowering? I'm excited. I am not the best, but I'm working hard at becoming better, a better myself. Bettering myself, I'll be okay. Are you? Earlier we talked about 90% of the game being in your head. Are we really preparing as best we can? Right? That's where I'm going to jump in with what I do. So we take the same mental training used by the pros and I condense it like short, sweet, under 5 minutes a day. I know how busy kids are. I'm a school teacher during the day. I know kids don't want to sit down and read books. I know parents don't want to pay $300 for a psychologist one-on-one. It's expensive, I get it. This, I wanted to be a supplemental tool for parents, for kids, for coaches and organizations, where they can come in and just press play. Put in your earbuds, listen to a video, or watch a video, listen to a podcast, read an article, all on the go. So we do offer online mental training. It's convenient, it's accessible, affordable, and our goal is to help you with your performance, decrease stress and anxiety, and be a good person. Be a beauty. We help parents help their kids, the car ride home, my kid's crying, my kid's upset, my kid's angry, what do I do? How do I approach that? What's my That's twice now. What's my feedback like to my kid? You kids are young and you look older, but your brains are really not done growing. Does anybody know how old your brain is when it's fully grown? Yeah. Close. Yeah, it's between 22 and 25. So us coaches, we see these people that look like adults, but they have teenager brains. And we're saying, figure it out. Sit down, or we're frustrated with them and we're expecting them to act like adults. Adults, they're not adults. They're kids. They look like adults sometimes, but they're not. They're teenagers. And we need to learn how their brains are thinking, how it's firing, what they're thinking, what's developed, what isn't developed, what they're worried about, and that sort of thing, and then come together and talk. So we help parents in that regard. Players, we went over what we help you with as well, and coaches, we want to help empower coaches too, and help them with giving feedback to players. I can't tell you how many teams I played on or coached where we just dismissed players because we thought they were soft. We just, whatever, go ahead and sulk. Maybe they weren't soft. Maybe they just needed a different approach from me or my assistant coach or from a parent. So we need to learn that as well. So we teach and give lessons throughout the year. We offer memberships and the content is relevant. If there's a trade, someone's injured, we're talking about it. And this is kind of like my secret sauce. So every single lesson in 5 minutes talks about what the problem is. I have no confidence, or I haven't scored in 3 games. I'm nervous. And then we talk about the brain. What's actually happening? What chemicals are being released? What's going on in your head? Understanding that process. A little bit of anecdotes from myself. And then we give solutions, tips, tools, techniques. Try this, this, and this to help overcome that adversity. And I just wanted to put this up here to show you what we offer. So there is a free membership. You can get in there and get a sample and a taste of what MC is all about. And if you like the program, it's $100 for the year. We have a whole library full of lessons in there. We release new monthly content that's timely and relevant. And we have a building blocks introduction to mental training as well. So before we end, we got some fun facts. Kids, did you know that you have to sleep at least 8.5 hours every night? So when you go to bed, parents, don't let your children take tablets and devices to bed because the lights hit their brain and their brains light up and they're not able to get into a deeper sleep quick. No tablets. Even if you're texting friends and, oh my gosh, you believe what's happening at school? Put it down. Let your brain relax, okay? Your brain is fully grown at the age of 22. She was the closest. Teens are 50% more likely to do something stupid when they're with friends. Yeah, that's a great one. When you're with your friend, want to do this? Yeah, okay. You do something stupid. They did the study too with driving. They give you a point system. When you stop at red lights, you get more points. When you slow down at ambers, you get more points. Then they gave them a score, and then they put a friend in the passenger seat, and the scores dipped by 50%. 95% of your life is subconscious. I was talking about that earlier, about taking my drink. All these things that I do, I'm on autopilot. Those are brainstem activities. And you daydream 47% of the day, which is crazy. That's a study out of Harvard, that we're lost in thought almost half the day. So if you're negative, and then you're lost in thought being negative, what is your brain going to continue to replay subconsciously over and over and over again? So be aware of those things today. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you.